Have you ever looked at someone you love and felt a sudden, piercing fear of losing them? It is a shadow that walks beside love, a quiet whisper that reminds us that everything changes. We spend our lives building walls against this truth. But what if the truth itself is not the enemy? What if the acceptance of impermanence is not a path to despair, but the only real path to peace and to a love that is fearless and profound? Imagine you are standing by a river. You see the water flowing, the light dancing on its surface, the constant, gentle movement. You would never point to the river and say, "It must stop flowing." You would never demand that a single droplet remain in the exact same spot forever. To do so would be to misunderstand the very nature of a river. The river's beauty, its power, its life, is in its flow. And yet, in our relationships, this is precisely what we do. We fall in love with a person who is, themselves, a flowing river of thoughts, emotions, cells, and experiences, and we try to build a dam. We try to freeze a single moment, a single feeling, a single version of that person, and call it ours. This is the root of our suffering. Buddhism calls this fundamental truth times anicca asterisk, impermanence. It is not a pessimistic doctrine. It is a simple observation of reality. The flower that blooms in the morning will wither. The mountain that seems eternal is slowly being worn down by the wind and rain. The joy you feel right now will shift and change into something else. The person you love, their body is changing with every breath. Their mind is a cascade of new thoughts and perceptions. They are not the same person they were a year ago, or even a moment ago, and neither are you. We build our relationships on the illusion of permanence. We create contracts, make promises, and build a shared identity that feels solid. Like a house made of stone, we believe this structure will protect us from the winds of change. But the universe is not made of stone. It is made of water, of wind, of fire. It is a dynamic, unfolding process. Our resistance to this flow, our desperate attempt to hold on to the water of the river, is what causes the ache in our hearts, the fear of loss, the anxiety of uncertainty, the pain of disappointment when a person changes, or when a relationship ends. These are not caused by the change itself. They are caused by our clinging to the idea that things should not change. We are in love with a photograph, while a living, breathing person stands before us, constantly becoming new. The Zen masters understood this deeply. They saw that true intimacy, true connection, is not found in possessing another person. It is found in meeting them fully, in the present moment. It is found in the willingness to witness their becoming, without demanding they remain who they once were. This requires immense courage. It requires letting go of the need for certainty. It means loving the river for its flowing, not in spite of it. It means understanding that every moment together is precious, precisely because it will never come again in the same way. The feeling of their hand in yours, the sound of their laughter, the specific way the light catches their eye. These are fleeting phenomena, like a beautiful cloud formation, or the pattern of frost on a window pane. To grasp at them is to destroy their beauty. To appreciate them, to be fully present with them, is to experience a love that is not bound by fear. This is the first step, the turning of the key, to see the world and our relationships, not as a collection of static things, but as a vibrant, unstoppable dance of change. This misunderstanding of impermanence gives birth to its shadow, attachment. In the language of Buddhism, this is times upadana asterisk, the clinging, the grasping. It is crucial to understand that attachment is not love. In fact, they are often opposing forces. Love is an expansive energy. It is the wish for another to be happy, to be free. It is an appreciation of their existence, separate from our own needs. Love is an open hand. Attachment is a clenched fist. It is rooted in fear, the fear of our own emptiness, the fear of being alone, the fear of losing something we believe we need to be whole. Attachment says, I need you to be a certain way so that I can feel secure. It says, your happiness is important. but only as long as it includes me in a way that I approve of. It says, "I cannot live without you." This is not a statement of love. It is a statement of dependency. Think of holding a small bird in your hands. If you hold it with an open palm, it may choose to stay. It feels safe. It feels free. It can sing its song. You can appreciate its beauty, its warmth, its life. This is love. But if you fear it will fly away, and you close your hand around it, you will crush it. You may keep its body, but you will have destroyed the very life, the very freedom that made it beautiful. This is attachment. In our relationships, this clinging manifests in countless ways. It is the jealousy that arises when our partner finds joy elsewhere. It is the possessiveness that seeks to control their time, their friendships, their thoughts. It is the constant need for reassurance, the anxiety that gnaws at us when they are distant. It is the anger we feel when they change, when they no longer fit the mold we have created for them. We are essentially saying to this flowing river, "You must flow only in the channel I have dug for you." This creates immense suffering. For both people, the one who clings is in a constant state of anxiety, policing reality, fighting a battle they can never win. The one who is clung to feels suffocated, stifled, unable to be their authentic, evolving self. The Zen path asks us to examine this clinging with radical honesty. Where does it come from? It comes from the mistaken belief that our happiness, our sense of self, is located times outside times of us. We project our source of well-being onto another person. They become the sun, and we become a planet that can only live in their light. So when they turn away, we feel the cold, the dark, the terror of annihilation. But true strength, true inner peace, is found in becoming our own sun. It is found in cultivating a source of warmth and light within. When we have this inner resource, we can love another person not out of need, but out of a genuine appreciation for their light. We can enjoy their warmth when they turn towards us, and we can still feel our own warmth when they turn away. The relationship is no longer a desperate attempt to fill a void. It becomes a dance of two whole beings, two suns, sharing their light, without demanding that the other stop shining on the rest of the universe. Letting go of attachment does not mean letting go of love. It means purifying it. It means transforming a love based on fear and lack into a love based on freedom and abundance. Let's analyze how this clinging to permanence poisons our lived experience. We are all storytellers. From the moment we enter a relationship, we begin to write a story in our minds. It has a beginning, a middle, and a future we have already mapped out. We create characters, the supportive partner, the adventurous one, the stable provider. We cast ourselves and the person we love into these roles. This story becomes our reality. We overlay it onto the raw, unpredictable flow of life, and we expect life to conform to our script. The problem is, life is not a script, and people are not characters. They are living, breathing, evolving mysteries. The person you love will inevitably go off script. They will change their mind. They will develop new interests. They will have moments of weakness, or confusion, or strength you never expected. They will fail to deliver the lines you wrote for them. And when this happens, we experience a profound sense of betrayal. Not a betrayal by the person, but a betrayal by reality itself. This wasn't supposed to happen, we think. This is not part of the story. Our suffering comes from the gap between the story in our head and the reality in front of our eyes. We are essentially in a relationship with a ghost, the ghost of the person we met, the ghost of the future we planned. We hold up a photograph of them from 5 years ago, and we get angry that the person standing before us has changed. We are trying to love a memory. This is a subtle form of violence. We deny the other person their right to grow, their right to be complex and contradictory. We are not seeing times them asterisk. We are seeing our idea of them, and we are judging them based on how well they conform to that idea. This is why so many relationships feel stagnant or become battlegrounds of unmet expectations. We are constantly trying to force each other back into our designated roles. You used to be so much more fun. I miss the person you were when we first met. These statements, though they may feel innocent, are expressions of our resistance to time's anicca asterisk. They are a plea for the river to stop flowing. The Zen approach offers a radical alternative: to drop the story, to let go of the script, to meet the person in front of you, in this moment, without the baggage of who they were yesterday, and without the expectation of who they should be tomorrow. This is true presence. It is the practice of seeing with fresh eyes, every single day. Who is this person? Now, what are their thoughts, their fears, their dreams? Today, when you let go of the story, you create space for genuine discovery. You allow the other person to surprise you. You allow the relationship itself to become a living, breathing thing, with its own intelligence and its own path, rather than a rigid structure you are trying to maintain. This is terrifying at first, because it means giving up control. But in giving up control, you find something far more valuable: connection, real connection, not with a character in your story, but with the mysterious, beautiful, ever-changing human being who has chosen to walk beside you. For a time, this analysis leads us to the ultimate confrontation with impermanence in relationships, the fear of the end, whether through a breakup, a separation, or the finality of death. Every relationship we have will change form. Our culture teaches us to see endings as failures. A divorce is a failed marriage. A breakup is a sign that something went wrong. We fight against these endings with all our might, often staying in situations that no longer serve us, out of a sheer terror of the void, the terror of the story ending incorrectly. This fear is the final fortress of our attachment to permanence. We believe that the value of a relationship is measured by its longevity, but this is like measuring the value of a symphony by how long it lasts, rather than by the beauty of its music. A Zen master might look at a wave in the ocean. The wave is born from the ocean. It rises, takes on a unique and beautiful form. It travels for a time, and then it returns to the ocean. Was the wave a failure because it ended? Did it die? Or was its existence a perfect, complete expression of the ocean's energy? It was beautiful not in spite of its briefness, but because of it. Its form was precious because it was temporary. Our relationships are like these waves. They arise from the great ocean of existence. They have a form, a story, a life, and then they dissolve back into the ocean. The love does not disappear. It simply changes form. The energy is returned to the whole. To embrace impermanence is to learn to see the beauty in the entire arc of the wave. It is to be grateful for its rising, to be fully present with its magnificent form, and to be able to let it go with grace when it returns to the sea. This transforms how we experience endings. Grief, of course, is natural. It is the pain of the form dissolving. But there are two kinds of grief. There is the clean grief, which is the pure, uncomplicated pain of loss. It is the honoring of what was. Then there is the suffering of complicated grief. This is grief mixed with resistance, with anger, with the story of it shouldn't have been this way. This is the pain of fighting reality. It is the fist clenched against the flowing river. By understanding impermanence, we can move towards a cleaner grief. We can grieve the loss, while still holding a deep gratitude for the experience. The focus shifts from, "I have lost you," to "I am so grateful that I had you." From "Our story ended wrong," to "Our story was beautiful, and it is complete." This is not a cold, detached intellectual exercise. It is a profound shift in the heart. It allows us to love more fully, more bravely, because we are no longer paralyzed by the fear of the inevitable end. We can pour our whole selves into the present moment of the relationship, knowing that the present moment is all that ever truly exists. The end is not a failure. It is a part of the dance, and by learning the steps of this dance, we find a peace that cannot be shaken, even in the face of the greatest loss. This understanding calls for a profound act of courage, the courage to turn the mirror inward. When a relationship encounters the friction of change, our first instinct is to look outward. We analyze the other person. We diagnose their faults. We blame them for disrupting the comfortable story we have written. "You are not the person I married. You have changed." But the path of wisdom asks us to pause, to take a breath, and to use that moment of friction as a point of self-inquiry. the discomfort we feel, the anxiety, the anger, the fear, is a message. It is a signal fire lit within our own landscape, and it is not pointing at them, it is pointing at us. It is pointing to the parts of ourselves that are rigid, the parts that are clinging to an illusion. The relationship, in this sense, becomes a dojo, a sacred space for practice. Every misunderstanding, every disappointment, is an opportunity to see our own attachments in high definition. Why does it hurt so much when they change their opinion on something we once shared? Perhaps it is because our own identity was fused with that shared belief. Why do we feel a surge of panic when they need space? Perhaps it is because we are relying on them to soothe the loneliness that originates within us. This is the critical reflection. It is the moment we stop being a critic of our partner and become a curious, compassionate observer of our own mind. We must ask the difficult questions. What am I afraid of losing? Is it this person, or is it the role they play in my story? Is it their love, or is it the validation their love provides for my fragile sense of self? This is not about self-blame. It is the opposite. It is an act of profound self-compassion. It is the recognition that we are all carrying these fears, these tender places built on the shaky ground of the ego. The ego is the architect of permanence. It builds a self-concept out of memories, beliefs, and the reflections it sees in other people's eyes. It craves stability because its very structure is an illusion. When our partner changes, the mirror they hold up to us changes. The reflection is different, and the ego panics. It feels like an existential threat. But you are not your ego. You are the vast, silent awareness behind the ego. You are the sky, not the fleeting clouds of thought and emotion. By reflecting critically on our reactions, we begin to distinguish between the sky and the clouds. We see the fear arise, but we don't have to become the fear. We see the clinging, but we don't have to be defined by it. We can simply notice it with a gentle curiosity. There is that old fear of abandonment again. There is the need to be right. In this noticing, a space is created, and in that space is freedom. The freedom to choose a different response, one that is not born of fear, but of wisdom and of love. This reflection inevitably leads us to confront our deep-seated desire for control. We believe that if we can just manage everything correctly, if we can say the right things, do the right things, and get our partner to do the right things, we can build a relationship that is immune to impermanence. We can secure a happy ending. This is the ultimate illusion. It is like being a sailor who believes they can control the wind and the tides. They exhaust themselves, fighting the very forces that could carry them forward. They hoist the wrong sails. They set the wrong course. They curse the storm, all because they are fighting reality. The wise sailor does not control the wind. They understand the wind. They learn its nature. They feel its shifts, and they adjust their sails accordingly. They work times with times the forces of nature, not against them. This is the art of letting go in a relationship. Letting go is not passivity. It is not apathy. It is not giving up. It is the highest form of intelligence and skill. It is the release of the need to control the other person's journey. We cannot fix them. We cannot heal their wounds for them. We cannot dictate their evolution. They are on their own path, a path we have the privilege of walking alongside for a time, but a path that is ultimately their own. Our attempts to control, though often disguised as love or care, are a form of disrespect. They are a subtle communication that says, I do not trust your journey. I do not trust you to find your own way. And even more deeply, I do not trust myself to be okay if your journey takes you away from me. So we manage, we advise, we manipulate, we worry. We expend enormous amounts of energy trying to steer their river. This creates a constant, low-grade tension. The relationship becomes a project to be managed, not a mystery to be lived. The critical reflection here is to look at this need for control and see it for what it is, a manifestation of our own fear. We control others when we do not feel in control of ourselves. We try to build a fortress outside, when we have not built a sanctuary inside. The synthesis of this understanding is trust, a radical trust. Trust in your partner's capacity to navigate their own life. Trust in the unfolding process of the relationship itself. Even when it is uncomfortable or uncertain, And most importantly, a deep, unwavering trust in your own ability to meet whatever comes. To trust that you have the inner resources, the strength, the resilience, to handle joy, and to handle sorrow, to handle connection, and to handle loss. When this trust becomes your foundation, the desperate need to control simply dissolves. The fist unclenches, the hand opens, you stop fighting the wind, and you learn to sail. You can finally enjoy the journey, the sun on your face, the spray of the sea, without being terrified of where the next current will take you, because you know, deep in your bones, that you will know how to navigate it when it arrives. So, how do we weave this understanding into the fabric of our daily lives? How do we move from philosophical concept to lived reality? The synthesis of this entire journey is found in a single, powerful practice: mindful presence. It is the act of bringing your whole, undivided attention to this moment and this person right now. This sounds simple. It is anything but. Our minds are constantly pulling us away from the present. We are lost in rehashing yesterday's argument, or we are busy scripting tomorrow's conversation. We are with our partner physically, but our minds are 1,000 miles away. We are looking at them, but we are not seeing them. We are seeing our projections, our memories, our judgments. Mindful presence is the gentle, persistent act of coming back. Coming back to the physical sensations of being here, the feeling of the chair beneath you, the warmth of the teacup in your hands, the sound of their breathing. It is the practice of listening, with the intention to understand, not simply to reply. It is hearing not just the words, but the silence between the words. It is noticing the flicker of emotion in their eyes, the subtle shift in their posture. This quality of attention is the most profound expression of love. It is a silent communication that says, "You matter. This moment with you is the most important thing in the world." When you are truly present, the tyranny of impermanence loses its power, because in the present moment, there is no loss. There is no fear of the future. There is only this shared breath, this glance, this touch. This is where life is lived. This practice dissolves the clinging to the past. You stop comparing the person in front of you to the person they used to be. You meet them anew. Every day, you allow them the space to be who they are now, and you give yourself the gift of discovering them over and over again. It also quiets the anxiety about the future. When you are fully absorbed in the beauty of this one, irreplaceable moment, you are not worrying about whether it will last. The joy of the moment is enough. It is complete in itself. This is not about ignoring problems or avoiding difficult conversations. In fact, it is the opposite. It allows you to bring a calm, centered awareness times to the difficulties. You can discuss a problem without being swept away by the stories of blame and fear. You can stay grounded in the reality of the present situation and respond with wisdom, rather than react with habit. This is a training, like strengthening a muscle. You start small. You dedicate 5 minutes a day to simply being with your partner, with no distractions, no phones, no television, just being present. You practice seeing them with beginner's mind, as if you know nothing about them. You practice listening, and when your mind wanders, as it will, you gently, without judgment, bring it back. This is the work. This is the synthesis. It is in these small, repeated moments of presence that a relationship is transformed from a source of anxiety into a path of awakening. Through this dedicated practice of presence, born from a deep acceptance of impermanence, something extraordinary begins to blossom. This is the final synthesis, the emergence of wise compassion. In Buddhism, this is the union of times prajna *, wisdom, and times karuna *, compassion. They are two wings of the same bird. Wisdom is the clear seeing of reality as it is, the truth of impermanence, the truth of interconnectedness, the truth of suffering caused by clinging. It is the intellectual and experiential understanding we have been exploring, but wisdom alone can be cold, distant. Compassion is the heart's response to that wisdom. It is the warmth, the empathy, the active wish to alleviate suffering. When you truly understand that everything and everyone is impermanent, a profound tenderness arises. You look at your partner, and you see not just the person who may sometimes frustrate you, but a fellow traveler, a fleeting collection of thoughts, feelings, and cells, doing their best to navigate this confusing, beautiful, and brief existence. You see their struggles, their insecurities, their moments of anger or fear, not as flaws to be judged, but as part of the universal human condition. You see that their clinging, just like your own, comes from a place of deep vulnerability. With this perspective, it becomes very difficult to hold on to anger. Resentment cannot find fertile ground. Instead, a deep, spacious compassion arises. This is not the pity that looks down on another. It is the empathy that recognizes the other in yourself. I see your struggle, and it is my struggle too. This wise compassion is the foundation of unshakable inner strength. This is not the brittle strength of a wall, which resists pressure until it shatters. It is the resilient strength of a deep-rooted tree. The winds of change will blow. The storms of life will come. Leaves will fall. Branches may even break. But the roots of your understanding, your compassion, your presence, hold you firm. Your peace is no longer dependent on external conditions being perfect. It is not dependent on your partner behaving in a certain way, or the relationship lasting forever. Your peace comes from within. It is a portable sanctuary you carry with you. From this place of strength, love becomes a fearless offering. It is no longer a transaction, a negotiation to get your needs met. It is a gift you give freely, from a place of fullness, not of lack. You can love another person completely, cherish them deeply, be fully committed to them in the present moment, all while holding the wisdom that this form is temporary. This is the ultimate paradox. By embracing the truth that you will lose everything, you become free to love it all, with an open heart, and without fear. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding. So we return to the river. It is still flowing, as it always will. But now, you are no longer standing on the bank, afraid of the current. You have stepped into the water. You have realized that you are not separate from the flow. You times are times the flow. And in that realization, all fear dissolves. There is only the dance, the music, the beautiful, aching, perfect impermanence of it all. And you are finally, peacefully, home.